PSG 4, Atletico Madrid 0. It was an absolute trouncing, a beat down. It was an absolute annihilation, if we're being honest. We're going to review the game. I want to get your early thoughts on the Club World Cup as well, because there's some interesting things I've learned today about this. There are amateur teams or semi-pro teams, which means they're semi-amateur teams at this tournament. But I want to get your views. I want to get your opinions on this. But it was a big win for Paris Saint-Germain tonight, no doubt about it whatsoever. I'll get a signal through from StreamYard saying the stream's really bad clarity and sound. If that's not the case, let me know. If you're seeing and hearing everything okay, let me know in the comments section right now, people. Straight away, Mustafa here says PSG are the favorites. Of course they're the favorites. They are the favorites by a country mile. They're the best team in the world right now. You can't get away from it. You can't deny it. It is what it is. They are that good. Simple and as straightforward as that. PSG are unbelievable. They are unbelievable. You can't get yourselves away from it. But 4-0 tonight against Atlético Madrid. Listen, they ended their Champions League campaign. They ended their season in an absolutely phenomenal way. They truly, truly did, by smashing Inter Milan in that Champions League final. And they have started phenomenally well at the Club World Cup. Are all the clubs going to take it seriously? The semi-pro clubs there, the fans, the noise, the atmosphere. There was elements of today that didn't feel quite right to me. And I watched a number of these games, but there was elements that didn't quite feel right to me. But I'm not going to take anything away from Paris Saint-Germain's performance. That we'll get into the competition a little bit later. PSG today were just majestic. And I stand on this. PSG are the best team in the world. And it was a little while ago, a few months ago, where I looked at things and thought to myself, do you know what? I was looking at Liverpool, and Liverpool Football Club were, without a shadow of a doubt, the best team in the world for a period for me. Before that, it was Manchester City for a 2 or 3 year period. Of course, there's been moments in that time. By the way, welcome to everybody that's joined us from That's Football. I hope you're well. I hope you're good on this very warm Sunday evening here in the UK. We'll come to some of your comments in a moment. Get your member chats in, get your super chats in to us as well. But from my point of view and perspective, I looked at PSG last season. They became the best team in the world. Their consistency, the way they play, the movement, the shape of their team. They are every bit as good defensively as they are in the attack. And I think that's an element of the game that it goes a little bit under the radar with PSG, because everybody thorns and praises, and rightfully so, the way they attack. The passing, the movement, the individual skill and dribbling ability of your Doués, your Kvaratskhelia, Dembele that wasn't even on the pitch. They have so much quality. I think we forget when it comes to PSG, this is a team that's so hard to break down, so hard to penetrate, so hard to beat, so hard to score against. And they did tonight. They scored 1 goal, Atleti, but it was ruled out rightfully for a foul in the build-up play. Outside of it, Atletico Madrid did nothing. They were poor, in my personal opinion. They were off the pace. They didn't look involved in this game. It was men v boys in many, many ways. It truly was. They were just absolutely woeful. And there were times in this, though, where I was thinking to myself, it felt like a preseason game as well. I think that's because you didn't hear when I say the real, I'm talking about the week in, week out match day fans that watch Atletico Madrid. You definitely didn't hear the PSG fans that are always so loud and noisy and bring atmosphere with them. So maybe that took away some of the intensity for Atleti that rely a lot on blood, thunder, sweat, tears, and passion. And that was kind of missing from the game. But I don't want to take anything away as best I can from PSG, because I just felt that they were fast. I felt they were powerful, dangerous, and they're the team to beat in this tournament. There's no doubt about it whatsoever. How many people are going to view this tournament and watch it? Again, we're going to move on to that in a bit, because I can't get it out of my head. It keeps coming back. But I thought they were great today. Vitinha in the middle. The man is just a phenom. I wonder what Wolves are thinking right now. I wonder what other Premier League teams are thinking. I wonder what they're thinking right now. He was just majestic, controlled the ball. I think they had somewhere in the region of somewhere in the region of about 75 to 80% of the ball in that game. And I haven't even checked that 70%, to be fair. I thought it was a little bit higher than that. Didn't maybe create as many shots as they would have liked, but you've also got to factor in where they were playing, the heat, and how difficult it was. But it was a game they controlled, a game that was essentially easy for them. I thought that Fabian Ruiz getting the opening goal as well. The build up to that goal was brilliant. Due into Kvaratskhelia, the hold up play was brilliant. He knocks it round the corner. And Fabian Ruiz lets it run. He lets the ball run across his body and then buries it into the far corner. And I don't think people realize how good a goal that was. I don't know about you. For me, I watched it and just applauded. It was fantastic. Vitinha's goal, that Atletico will be very disappointed with. They were in the attack. Griezmann had a good opportunity to score. But this is why people don't like to attack Paris Saint-Germain that much, because they did. And within 2 passes, Vitinha is running at the back line. Lenglet and man like Robin, they didn't know what they were doing. They just got split apart. Vitinha run through the middle and buried it. And at 2-0, it felt all over. Kvaratskhelia had a brilliant shot saved by Jan Oblak early in the second half. That would have killed the game off. We've already mentioned the disallowed goal for Ati, and I know they're upset and I know they're angry, but it was rightfully disallowed. That was a clear foul in the build-up. It's frustrating the referee didn't see it in real time. I don't think you can bemoan that. I don't think you can criticize that. I don't think you can sit there and say that was unfair. What I did think was a little bit unfair is the Lenglet red card. Not because he shouldn't have been given a second yellow for mouthing off, but the reason why I felt it was a little bit harsh is it was a bit of an anomaly. Oblak goes to throw the ball out. As he brings his arm back, he doesn't see a defender that's running behind him. The ball hits the defender and scrambles out. Now, the Paris Saint-Germain player would normally, if he did that intentionally, would be booked. It wasn't intentional. That is where, one, what's the linesman looking at? Because they're meant to stay in line with the play. What's the referee looking at? What's the 4th official looking at? And what is VAR doing? A quick intervention there and common sense would have been, do you know what? Lenglet shouldn't mouth off. But at the same time, we've missed something massive. They're frustrated because they're losing. They've just had a goal disallowed. And in the end, Paris Saint-Germain go down to 10 men. PSG have a corner and could score from it. And it's crazy. As the game went on, though, there was another chance for, what's his name? The striker. Why can't I remember his name? The big dude. I think he said Conor Gallagher. It isn't. Man like Sloth. Him. I can't remember how to say his name. Really good chance at the back post for him. Misses it. And then 2 very late goals that clinched the game. And I did have a little bit of a smile on my face when the young lad, is it pronounced Malolu, who scored the 3rd goal, obviously got the late goal in the Champions League final as well. And they buried them. They destroyed them. They absolutely, that's the guy that missed a chance. You don't pronounce the name how it reads, right? And literally during the game, I was hearing, I know who he is, but you know what I'm like with names because of my dyslexia. And it's just gone out of my head. I was kind of practicing it and it's gone. I know who the player is. I'm just going to butcher his name if I try to say it. But anyway, he missed a chance. They conceded 2 late goals. And I did hear the commentators say, should they really have given that late penalty? They have to at the group stage of these games because they have to manage the integrity of the football match. And imagine PSG don't get given that penalty when they should, and they go out of the group stages on goal difference. Unlikely, yes, but you have to manage and maintain the integrity of the game at all times, and that should happen. So look, PSG deserved it. They are the team to beat. They're world class. In fact, they're the best in the world right now. There's almost no flaws in this side. World class goalie, a strong, amazing, fantastic defense. one of the best, most complete, balanced midfielders you'll see in world football. Athleticism, ability on the ball, creativity, goal scoring, and then an attacking line that is as fluid, as agile as it is deadly. Together, a fantastic team with a world-class manager, the team to watch, the team to beat. And look, they've smashed up one of the other big European sides in the opening game. Now, my concern with this tournament, and I've come into this with an open mind, I've come into this thinking to myself, I'm not going to overly judge. I'm not going to just slag it off. There's a few issues I have with it, and they might upset some of our American viewers. And you know me, I think football is open to the world. But you have to hear me out here. You've got to hear me out. I'm not sure if the South American audiences and the European audiences, which they may not be the biggest because there are other parts of the world that have got millions of people that tune in, billions even. But typically speaking, the best football players, the best teams come from those two continents, especially Europe, internationally from South America as well. And the one thing I felt this game lacked, watching it tonight, it didn't even feel like a World Cup or a Euros. It felt like a friendly match. And I am not attacking or slagging off any of the people that were at that stadium tonight. They're allowed to support the game in the way in which they want. But I'm talking about the tens of millions of people in Europe, hundreds of millions that watch football, the South Americans. Maybe I don't know what it's like in other parts of the world because I don't watch football from those countries. But are they going to tune in through the television and go, oh, this feels like a serious game? Or is it going to feel like the preseason tours and the preseason friendlies? Mark Goldbridge last week was out in New York where the final is going to be, was meeting with, different people and everything else. And there wasn't a hype. Nobody was talking about it. None of the big companies cared too much. It wasn't really being advertised anywhere. And I worry about it from that perspective. But I'm going to give it time. And I actually think my gut feeling after one day is I think we've got to wait to the knockout stages for that to start. What I'm hoping is fans from those particular countries go out and support their teams. I actually want them to show America the way you, and again, this might offend people, but I'm going to say it, the way you chant, the way you cheer, the aggression that's sometimes needed, the animosity, the frustration, the oohs and the ahs, that makes football so beautiful. Tonight's game, I watched the Bayern game earlier. I watched the highlights of the drab opening game. It sounded like Soccer Aid. And for me, it's going to be hard to make an audience buy into the game when it sounds like Soccer Aid. How do I know this? I had a conversation about 5 years ago with a very senior person at the time, BT Sport. And he was of Italian origin in his 50s. And so one of the reasons that Italian football died off comparatively to the Premier League in the 90s into the 2000s is of economic issues in Italy. Less people going to games. It took away from the atmosphere, and the TV companies, because he was working in television then, internationally, television companies saying, we're losing our viewers because the games don't have the atmosphere. The football can be brilliant. If you remove the atmosphere, the game isn't as good. We saw that during lockdown, right? So having the atmosphere that the die-hard football fans around the world, and by the way, I think this will count for Australians. I think this will count for people in the Middle East and Russia, people in all over the continent of Africa. So many of them watch La Liga. So many of them watch the Premier League. The noise you get at those games, they all watch the Champions League. The noise you get at those games, you can't manufacture that. They've taken boxing into the Middle East, and it's been amazing for the sport in terms of the fights that we now get. But when the fights are in Saudi, the atmosphere during those fights is not the same as if it's in Las Vegas, if it's at the Madison Square Garden, if it's at Wembley Stadium or the O2. There's a difference. And that will impact over time your TV viewers. And whether people like hearing this or not, all these tournaments, all these governing bodies, the sponsors, is the television audience that is more attractive than the match-going audience because it makes more money. Everyone buying DAZN, everybody tuning in around the world is where all the money is. So for me, my only real criticism is so far it doesn't feel like a major tournament. That might change, and I'm hoping that it does, but it doesn't quite feel that way. The second element is we are literally seeing semi-pro teams play. I didn't realize, I've heard of Auckland, of course I know where it is. I didn't realize it was a semi-pro team. I didn't realize that most of their players have full-time day jobs. I'm not begrudging that they are there. They have qualified. They have gone through the hoops. They have earned it based on the standard to be in the tournament. But I think what the Club World Cup, and I know that we're trying to broaden the game, but I think what the Club World Cup has got to do is what the Olympics does. You could, if you're the fastest person in your country at 100 meters, but you don't hit a certain standard of time, you don't go. Because again, in terms of people tuning in and watching, who's now going to watch any more of Auckland's games after today? Very unlikely. It's very difficult to sell it. So there's loads of games to go. I'm still open-minded, but so far, I think there's some of the flaws in this tournament. However, I've still got a gut feeling come the knockout stages when it's going to be predominantly the European sides. I think we may get some from South America. I think we'll get a few from Saudi as well that will get to that stage. Then we might start to see things heat up on the pitch, in the crowd, and everything else. One other thing FIFA might want to think about doing, because it's still doable now, is taking some of the billions they're raising through this, going to the fan groups of all the clubs from all around the world and saying, how about we get 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10,000 of you to the games? We'll pay for your flights, or, you know, give you some free tickets, pay for your flights, whatever it may be, get you over here to add some of that real, genuine, authentic atmosphere. That's what I would do. By the way, I keep the boxing in Saudi. Just fly the fans out there. Get the fans out there to bring the atmosphere. And trust me, the viewing figures will go through the roof because that is what they want. But listen, viewers, give us your thoughts. Give us your opinions in the comments section below. Let's go to some of your super chats here. First one says, it's only about money, bad for football. Well, look, it could be good for football. I'm open-minded. You know me, as a person, I'm always open-minded. I'll say what I don't like. I say what I do like. But I think people underestimate the atmosphere of a game. And listen, I'm not what you'll get from some people is just trying to gateway football. It's not about gateway. It's not about gatekeeping. Everybody of every denomination is welcome to watch football. They're all, you know, as long as you're a law-abiding person, you're all welcome to watch football, in my personal opinion. I am talking about what makes games more enjoyable for the vast majority of people around the world. So much of it is the crowd and the atmosphere. So important. And that's something they've got to work on, in my view. Terry, be honest, in a Ballon d'Or conversation, should it be against you if your team is just as good with or without you? Dembele missed Arsenal game and today super team. You've got to be very careful with that train of thought, Abdul. You've got to be very careful with that train of thought because you're a Barcelona fan and you could damage the legacy of some of your players by saying, well, the team would win without them. That's about the squad having great depth. Does the team maintain its levels when Dembele's in it? So super team. When Dembele leaves or comes in, they remain a super team, which means he's on that level of being a super player. Does that make sense? So you have to, as a Man United fan, we get this leveled at us a lot. You get, yeah, but Man United, you know, you had a season where this player missed 6 months, or you had a season where this player was out for the whole year and you still won the league. How could they have been integral? Well, that's because we had a really good squad. But when that player played, we were still as good, if not better. But we maintained those levels because the squad was very good. So Dembele's individual ability, Dembele's qualities complement this, as you've just called them, this super team. They don't drop off massively without him because the likes of Doué come into the team, Barcola come into the team. That's how they're able to maintain a very high level. But what you're also talking about is a game or two. And do you remember we spoke about this about a week ago when it comes to your second goalkeeper? By and large, I don't trust any second goalkeeper for a 6-month stint in a team to maintain the levels of the first team goalkeeper. I think most of them are a level below. So if Dembele was to miss 6 months, could there be or would there be a drop-off in this team? Yes, because I think the difference between, say, him and Barcola in the form he showed in the last year is that he will win you more points than Barcola would in terms of individual brilliance within those games. So what you can't do is pick 1 or 2 games that he was missing from where they did well. I'll give you an example. Steven Gerrard, there was a stat that came out towards the end of his career that games without him at Liverpool, there was more points than when they were with him. Now, it can't. That's misleading because he played a lot more games than without him. Who were the teams that they played when he was missing? So sometimes he might have a little knock and you go, well, we'll leave him out for this game. We're at home to Ipswich. Easy win, 3 points. Oh, do you know what? He's got a little injury, but we've got to play him today. We're away to Man United. So he plays in that game and they lose narrowly to a really good team in Gerrard's era. You can't just look at the stats. You've got to look at the wider piece there, but really good challenge. CFC hype is what's said here. Yeah, look, I wouldn't necessarily call it CWC hype. I'm going to give it some time. I'm going to criticize it when there's problems. I'm going to praise it for good games. I'm praising PSG today. They were absolutely fantastic. There's no doubt about that whatsoever. Let's have a look here. Do you think Dembele would be a good Newcastle United signing? Oh, you think the Mama Flossie? Of course he would be. Terry is an Arsenal fan. Oh, CFC gamer, you're getting boring now, mate. Getting boring. Go spend time with your dad. It's Father's Day, you melt. You're getting boring out here. All right, I'm going to the Chelsea game tomorrow. Hopefully it will be a better game. Listen, and go there and sing the Chelsea chants and scream and shout when it goes wrong and boo when things don't go the right way. Don't go there in party atmosphere. Don't go there in sort of like, oh, this is fun no matter what. Like pre-season, go there with like, I want my team to win. Like it's like international games. You don't want it to sound like Soccer Aid. Do you know what I'm saying? Go there. Be a fan. Have fun. You know, that's when you're meant to let it all out. Even if you don't even mean it at the time, just let it out. It's football. It's what you do. It's on the USA for the reason the fans from different parts of the world don't sing club, sing sub-songs and roar the club's name. That doesn't mean they don't support the club. No one is saying that. No one is saying they don't support the club. And that isn't the point I was making. What you're doing, maybe that's because you feel like I'm talking about a fan like you. So cognitive dissonance kicks in. I'm not speaking and saying they are not real fans. They shouldn't be there. I'm talking about the viewers at home enjoying the game. A big part of what makes football matches and has done for 30 odd years since it's become a real, it's always, there was only when before the Premier League, there was very few televised games on TV. Most leagues had very small television figures nationally, let alone internationally, because there wasn't games on television. Since in the last 30 plus years, since the advent of Sky and all the other broadcasters, where every game is now available to watch, the atmosphere, the leagues that have grown the most are the leagues that typically have the best atmospheres. Now, what you always get thrown at you is, oh, mate, but I watched Galatasaray and the atmosphere was mad when we went there. Yes, but you're not getting that at most games every single week from most clubs in that league. You get one or two, right? Where the Premier League and La Liga, Germany has this to a larger extent, where it's like top to bottom, it's really similar in terms of the way the team support, the songs, the passion, the aggression sometimes, and the assertiveness. So again, I'm not having a go at you. I'm not saying you're not a real fan. I'm talking about people's viewing habits. It's hard to get into a game that doesn't sound like a real football match. You almost programmed when you watch the Premier League when there was no crowd sound. They didn't feel like real games sometimes. You would literally, I was watching those. I remember watching those games in the lockdown period, and it'd be a good way you'd score a good goal, and you're like, oh, you'd be like, yes, I'm happy I scored. But then I'm like, I don't get it. There's no crowd noise, right? There was no oohing and ahhing, and I'm sitting there going, it doesn't sound right. You could hear the coaches and the whistles echoed in the stadiums. There is something about the atmosphere needing to be right. You won't even realize this if you're a Premier League fan. You don't realize how much you need those Premier League crowds. You may not even think about them because they're just there, right? They're just in the background. You suddenly remove them, the game feels different. It's so important to football, brother. It's so important to the game. It really is. Yeah, like a testimonial match. And if you listen, it's not about digging people out. I guarantee you, by the way, go put loads of Brits, go put loads of Europeans at the Super Bowl. I guarantee you it sounds different and we all go, oh, oh. Go and stick the NBA finals, go and stick loads of English people in the auditorium, in the stadium, whatever they call them. They call them stadiums they're playing? Arenas. I bet we'll go, oh, that don't sound right. Oh, God. Take crowds that watch bowls and put them at a boxing match. By the way, if you like cricket, go get a rowdy football group, get them drunk and put them at a cricket game, it'll sound horrible because it won't be the atmosphere you're used to. It's not digging people out. It's understanding the game. Does this mean PSG are elite? We already know PSG are elite. They're champions of Europe. Listen, every single person that has tuned into this show, I really want to thank you all for being here this evening. We're going to be doing I'm actually going to be doing some watch-alongs for on That's Football for this over the course of this tournament. So we'll be looking forward to seeing some of you guys there. Vitinha for the Ballon d'Or. Listen, Vitinha for the Ballon d'Or is an amazing shout. It's genuinely an amazing shout. He would be a brilliant candidate for it. I love football players like him. They never, ever get the attention they deserve, by the way. Never get the attention they deserve. Phenomenal football player, wonderful ability, brilliant on the eye, just utterly superb. He really, really is. And yeah, I love watching him play. I really, really do. Barmy Army. Exactly. Equally, put a rugby crowd at a football match from the same country as the football crowd. It wouldn't sound right. So again, it's not about nationality or your passport. It's about understanding the atmosphere at those games. It needs to be right. And they haven't got... and by the way, the organizers don't think about that. They don't think about it enough. Why? Because they're not football fans. They're not real football fans. Not like we are. They're just not. Simple as that. Throwing a ton of money behind a mostly irrelevant tournament doesn't change the fact it's mostly irrelevant. Well, the only way you make things relevant is by investing in them. But I think one element that they have forgotten about is fans. They've forgotten about fans. And when you forget about the fans, and even people go, no, but we don't need those fans. We don't need the French. We don't need the Brazilians. We can do it. There's a reason you tune into our leagues and not your own anyway. You may say quality of football. I'm telling you, it's the way it sounds and the way it feels. Look, I want to thank every single person who's tuned into the show. We are going to be live tomorrow morning at 10:30 a.m. for Straight Facts with Alice Talks Football and Jamie Story. This video is going to redirect you to it. So go there now, get it liked and marked up, ready for the morning. Can't wait to see you all over there. It's going to be great. Until next time, people, take care. Goodbye. God bless. And we'll see you all again very, very soon. Peace.